First off, can't play me, I ain't no Xbox. I'm pulling up, busting windows. I'm at your mama's spot, I'm kicking cups, smacking dice. I'll make this block hot. No trapping here, slacking where? Wait, get your home right. I'm sick and tired of fucking crying and sleepless nights. Bitches approaching me, telling me they don't know of me. Oh, you think you slick, you think you got one up. You better ask my last nigga, cut his ass right up. Yeah, can't cry over spilled milk if I knew it was rotten. And all these memories we had, they was quickly forgotten. Oh, this nigga think he's smooth, he tryna cast it over me. Keep him lying through his teeth, leave his ass like Henry B. No pink turtlenecks, but I'm feeling bad. US, I can't let him go, but watch me loosen up. My grip, I'm hopping in my bag. I'm talking about that go wall. Shit, I need a couple bags. Ain't talking about no go yard, bitch. You geeking for? I'm really about to drag and go and cry no more. I had to tell that nigga stop playing with me before they find this picture on murder. Be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to. Better watch the way you handling me. I told you just be careful with me. You better be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to. Better watch the way you handling me.
Hello, my darlings. Hello, hello, hello. Much love, hugs, and kisses. Sound check for me. You all can hear me before I start reading, correct? I just want to make sure. I moved some things around and I just want to make sure audio is still good. I was asked to do a recap, but if you need a recap, I'm asking respectfully that you go ahead and please give me that click and a view, and that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and watch the previous chapters. We're now up to, I think, chapter, let me look real quickly, 15, and this is like, thank you for the sound check. This is halfway through the book at least. So I'm not going to do a recap because I don't want spoilers, okay? So please, with all love in my heart, go back and start from the beginning. It's well worth it, okay? Much love, hugs, and kisses. Today I am bringing to you Be More Careful, the revised edition by the king of urban fiction, Shannon Holmes. Shannon Holmes wrote his first novel, Be More Careful, while in prison. When it was published, Be More Careful immediately became a #1 bestseller, making him a major name in a new generation of hip-hop fiction. He followed Be More Careful with the bestsellers Bad Girls and Never Go Home Again. He lives in North Carolina with his wife and their 2 daughters. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all my darlings. I won't be doing name by name because y'all know it's a book. And I give myself a certain amount of time, without rushing, to present it to you so that it's easier on the replays. We are now in chapter 15. As Black leaned against the countertop in the kitchen of one of the stash houses he operated, his right hand massaged his chin as he pondered what his uncle was saying in the echoes of the background. Nothing had gone right for him since the falling out with Nard. His main concern was getting a dope connection, and that's why he had called his Uncle Briscoe. Here they were in the kitchen having a meeting. His uncle trying to convince him to make a move with him. That's some faggot ass shit your man did. Excuse me, let me reread that. I'm sorry. That's some faggot ass shit your man did, yo. Getting you cut off from your connect over some stank bitch. Wasn't you taking care of that chump? What's wrong with these niggas today? They sure don't make them like they used to. Nowadays, niggas got the game fucked up. Fuck that coon, yo. One monkey don't stop no show. I got peoples in New York. My man Carlos is up in Spanish Harlem. I did a bid with him in the feds. Yo, the nigga is large. He got that raw China white. So let me run up there with a couple of G's and I'll holler at him. Uncle Briscoe was a fast-talking con man and ex-bank robber. He was short, stocky, and dark-skinned. He was Fat's baby brother, whom he kept in contact with since his father's funeral. Uncle Briscoe had done time in Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary and supposedly had plenty of connections. When's the last time you caught from him, yo? Asked Black. Truth was, he was only asking Uncle Briscoe because that was his only hope. He was trapped between a rock and a hard place, and all his uncle had to do was tell him what he wanted to hear. I just copped from him about 2 weeks ago. He looked out for me. The more money I spend, the less he charges me for weight, he said, lying through his teeth, always looking for a way to make a fast buck. Briscoe told his nephew he had a connection that didn't exist. My man, Los, got the bomb, yo. I'm telling you. Remember that dope that was killing junkies on the west side a couple months ago? That was his shit. That shit is taken at least 30 or better. You mean to tell me I could step on it that many times? Black asked excitedly, knowing damn right well dope taking that much cut was unheard of. I'm trying to tell you, yo. You ain't got to worry about nothing. I got this. I got 2 broads that'll carry the money up and the product back. When we get back, you can take care of us, said Briscoe, trying to endorse his imaginary connect and his imaginary plan. What the hell? I ain't got shit to lose, thought Black. All right. I hope you know what the fuck you doing, yo. My $35K means a lot to me. So I hope the dope is some real good shit. You straight with 35, right? Yeah. Don't worry. I'm going to take care of it for you. With that, you should be able to cop no less than 3 ounces, yo. Anything you get over that is yours. Just bring me mine. All of it. If your people's dope raw like you say it is, then we'll do some more business. Then you'll really get paid, yo. With that, Black left the kitchen, went in the bedroom, and returned carrying a large brown bag filled with $35K USD, wrapped in individual rubber bands. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all those entering the room. Uncle Briscoe opened the paper bag and damn near began to slob on himself. He hadn't seen that much money in years. Now all he had to do was make good on his promise. Go to New York, find a connect, cop, and make it back home. You need me to take that trip with you to the city, yo? Black asked as he watched his uncle rummage through the money. Nah, yo, I got this. Everything is under control. So, on the strength of his uncle's word and the prospect of coming up on some raw dope, Black parted ways with his paper. That was chump change to him. He had plenty more stashed away. He figured he'd let his uncle go ahead and handle things his way this time. However, next time, he planned on meeting his uncle's connect face to face. Off to the city Briscoe went, alone and in search of a sweet deal on some weight. He figured that in New York he'd easily find a dope connection. After all, New York was one of the main drug distribution centers on the East Coast. As soon as he got off the Greyhound bus at the Port Authority, I don't know why they got these typos. I don't know. I'm going to say this. I think it's Kendall at this point, except for the last book I read. No, that was her. This is Kendall because I originally read this book and I had the hard copy in my hand. And I need to order the hard copy to compare. I think Kindle is doing a disservice to books when they transcribe them from the hard copy to the Kindle version, because I am reading the Kindle version. And it looks like they tried to correct certain things, and then other things they just totally missed the mark, okay? All right, my bad. Hello, dollars. Much love, hugs, and kisses. Please enjoy the book. As soon as he got off the Greyhound bus at the Port Authority, good thing I know where that is, Briscoe hailed a cab. His destination, Spanish Harlem. That was where he made two mistakes that would ultimately cost him dearly. First, he went to cop alone with nobody to watch his back. Second, he was flashing his cash to the wrong people. On 116th Street, a couple of Hispanics were able to lure him into an empty shooting gallery in a tenement building by giving him a free quarter ounce of heroin. This was just enough to appeal to Briscoe's greed. The deal was too good to refuse. As soon as they got him into the building, they flipped the script and killed him. He suffered multiple stab wounds to the back, head, and neck. His body was found a few days later by the building superintendent. Back down in Bmore, Black caught a bad vibe about his uncle. He hadn't heard from him since he left for New York. He specifically told him to call as soon as he got there. Black kicked himself for not going along with him. He should have played his first vibe and went with him. His worst fears were confirmed when the New York City Police Department notified the family of his uncle's murder. Black was really stressed out now. The amount of money was a small thing to a hustler of his caliber. So that wasn't what bothered him. It was the fact that he had no dope, with no possibilities of any on the horizon. He was desperate, and desperate times called for desperate measures. So Black went on a rampage, a robbery spree with no pics about who he robbed. If you had it, he was coming to get it. This was a life or death situation to him. It wasn't a game, or at least he wasn't playing one. Selling drugs was more than his livelihood. It was his life. He had to maintain his lifestyle by any means necessary. He robbed to replenish his own heroin stash, Much love, hugs, and kisses, darlings. One group of hustlers in particular who felt his wrath were New Yorkers. He mainly targeted any brothers from New York down in Baltimore trying to get their hustle on. It was his own personal attempt to seek revenge for his uncle's death. He formed a deep-seated hatred for all New Yorkers by robbing, shooting, and killing as many of them as he could. He extracted a measure of his revenge at the same time. His entire mindset was money and murder. His rationale was they didn't belong down there anyway. So he was personally going to run them out of there. One by one, he was going to send them home in a body bag. Slowly, Black pulled his Toyota 4Runner into the McDonald's on North Avenue, ordering some lunch at the drive-thru. He never noticed the stolen golden Maxima creeping up on him. "Black," said a voice in a friendly tone. Sipping, he turned towards the direction of the familiar sound and voice without even thinking. Immediately, he knew he had made a serious mistake. Two angry black faces stared at him. Unable to place them, he ducked for cover, hitting the lever on the side of his seat. He laid flat and covered his head with his arms. Simultaneously, the two hitmen began unloading their weapons. The automatic gunfire made the drive-thru seem like the 4th of July. Bright muzzle flashes could be seen and non-stop thunderous gunfire could be heard. Black was defenseless the way he laid in the truck, ducked down for safety. Not to mention, the cars in front and in back of him in the drive-thru line had him boxed in. He was a sitting duck. His truck was riddled and rocked by bullets. He didn't know what type of guns they were firing, but from the my bad, y'all. Kindle. Okay, here we go. My bad, y'all. He didn't know what type of guns they were firing, but from the sound and the volume of the bullets that hit his truck, it had to be Uzis or MAC-10s. Bits of metal and glass rained down on Black as he lay motionless. His adrenaline was pumping, but he didn't panic. Slowly, he eased out his .40 caliber from his waistband. If he was going to die, he was going to take somebody with him. As the last bullet was fired and the shooting stopped, Black heard the sounds of clips hitting the ground. As the hitmen pulled out more clips to load their weapons, instinctively, Black sprang from his hiding spot, blazing his gun. Boom! 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 The gun roared, putting the hitmen on defense. They panicked, realizing that the shootout was no longer one-sided. The driver put the pedal to the metal and they fled the parking lot. Tires squealed as they sped off. Black continued firing at the car until he lost sight of it. Horrified, the patrons and innocent bystanders began reversing and shifting their cars into drive-in in an effort to distance themselves from Black and the madness. This allowed him to flee the scene of the crime as well. Miraculously, Black survived. This attempt on his please excuse my family. I mean, especially the dog. It seemed like they always want to be a part of the book reading. I'm sorry. That's why this is a cold read, y'all. I experience with you as I'm reading it. Okay? We're reading together. Miraculously, Black survived this attempt on his life, suffering only a graze wound to his upper right arm. The angle from which they shot, combined with the height of his truck, saved his life. Had they approached his truck on foot, he would have been a dead man. Safe in his house, Black was getting so high he could kiss the sky. It was beginning to distort his thought process. He was paranoid and was busy reevaluating everything and everybody around him. Under the circumstances, business was good. Ty was running the show like clockwork. He proved to be a valuable addition to his team. His family was safe. Nobody knew where they lived. Yet, there he was, one of the richest hustlers in all of Bmore, wilding out and robbing people. One would think he was a broke-ass hoodlum. The chinks in his armor were starting to show. Dope was his only weakness. This was even clear to him. There were two things that really bugged him, namely Michelle and Nard. The predicament he was in could be directly attributed to both of them, as they were the source of his problems. Michelle turned Nard against him, and Nard got him cut off from his connect. It never dawned on him that he was his own worst enemy. As he contemplated his next move, his cell phone rang, unexpectedly interrupting his thoughts. It was Michelle. Black? She asked. Yeah, what's up, y'all? He asked back. Hey, boo, I'm sorry about what happened between us the other day. It was all my fault. I was wrong. You was right. I should have stayed in my place. Black kept silent while she copped a plea. He knew what was coming next. She was about to crack for some dope. He could see right through her weak-ass game. This shit wasn't about him, and it wasn't about Nard. It was about her. All about her. I miss you, Black. When you coming over? I'll be over later, he calmly replied. When? She asked. Later, he snapped. Black, could you bring me a little of that thing when you come? She meekly asked. What the fuck I tell you about talking on the phone? Damn, was you trying to get me killed and indicted too? He asked sarcastically. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, she pleaded. Bitch, you always sorry, yo, he snapped, ready to hang up on her simple ass. Thank you, boo. I swear, I'll take care of you when you get here. I promise. Black hung up the phone. He wasn't trying to hear that shit. It was time to kill two birds with one stone. On the way over to Michelle's crib, he thought about what he had to do. In his mind, he came to the same conclusion every time. Michelle had to go. There was no way around it. She served no purpose anymore. She was just a leech. Sure, the sex was sweet, but fuck that. A nigga had lost too much already. All she was doing was putting him down. She was the one who turned him on to snorting dope, and more important, she was the reason he almost got killed today. Michelle was no good. Wasn't no woman in this world worth dying for, except his mother. Arriving in Michelle's Towson neighborhood, Black parked his dark blue hoopty several blocks away from her townhouse and walked to her complex, taking the back blocks. When he reached her complex, he climbed over the 8-foot wooden fence, made his way to her door, and let himself in. He was greeted by the sound of running water. She was taking a shower. I caught her ass off guard. Good, he thought to himself as he crept silently into the living room and sat on the sofa looking like the Grim Reaper dressed in all black, with his hoodie pulled way over his head. Shortly, she exited the bathroom naked and walked down the hall and past the living room area. From his vantage point, Black could see Michelle's silky triangle of pubic hair as she made her way to the kitchen to grab a snack. I guess this is pre-shaving. I just had to insert that. On her way back to her bedroom, she stumbled across Black sitting in the dark living room. "Oh my God!" she yelled, getting her breath as her heart dropped to the floor. "Black, you scared the shit out of me. How long you been here, yo?" "I just got here, yo," he replied, taking a snort. This motherfucker is tripping for real. Why did I even ask him to come over? Maybe it's time I stop fucking with him. This nigga is bad news. How the hell am I going to get my house keys back from him? She questioned herself as she looked at Black. He was giving her the creeps. "Here, yo," he said, tossing her a bundle of dope. She caught the bundle, then clicked on the lights, tearing open the glass-lined bag. She dumped the dope on the mirrored coffee table. Her attention was solely on the pile in front of her. Greedily, she temporarily forgot about Black sitting across from her. Finding a matchbox by an ashtray on the table, she ripped it in half and began to use it to snort the dope. Slowly, the pile began to disappear. Black sat back, digging Michelle while she did her thing. Junkie bitch, Black thought to himself. What a waste of some really good pussy. But this sentimental thought didn't stop him from doing what he had come to do. He had to kill her. She was dead weight, who suddenly got too heavy for him to carry. Much love, hugs, and kisses to my darlings entering the room. Quietly, he rose from his seat and walked behind her. He began to fondle her breast while she hogged the dope. Hold up, Black. Let me stiff a little more. Then I'll take care of you, she told him, pushing him backwards. He stopped feeling on her as if he were honoring her request. Michelle went right back to snorting. From his back pocket, Black pulled out a small .22 revolver. As Michelle was leaning over the coffee table, he placed the gun to the back of her head, right behind her left ear at point-blank range. He looked down at her as she continued sniffing the dope off the table. So preoccupied, she never saw it coming as Black pulled the trigger, killing her execution style. In a fraction of a second, Michelle was dead. Her limp and lifeless body crumpled to the floor. Black stood over her and shook his head in disgust. How did I let myself get into all this shit with your dumb ass? Talking to himself and mumbling, he proceeded to ransack the apartment to make it look like a burglary gone wrong. Before he exited the apartment, he left the bedroom window wide open, just to make it look good. Now, for part 2 of his plan. In the cover of darkness, Black drove past Nard's mother house in Randallstown. He knew someone was home because the lights were on, and from the street, he could see silhouettes moving about inside. Circling the house again, he cut off his headlights and slowed the car down to a snail's pace. Then, like the quiet before the storm, he emptied his .45 automatic drive-by style into the windows of the house. This was a message to Nard to call off his dogs in retaliation for the attempt on his life. I may not be able to reach you, but I can reach your family, nigga, he thought to himself as he turned the corner, slowing his car down as if nothing had just happened. The next day, Nard got the message loud and clear when his people came to visit him over at City Jail. They were nervous and jittery as they told him every detail of what happened. This thing with Black had gotten out of control. Black was out of control. Nard hadn't counted on him being so ruthless. Black put shit in the game by bringing the beef to his mother's door. Nard had 2 choices. Either he could raise the price on his head and pray they succeeded in killing him the next time, or he could cancel the contract. He was unwilling to jeopardize his loved ones' lives any further. His hands were tied. Black had won, and Nard stepped down. Still in need of dope, though, Black decided to make a power move to New York City himself. As much as he hated New York and New Yorkers, he still knew that the city held the best opportunity for him to cop some weight. He snatched up Ty, 2 chicks, Lisa and Stacy, a dope fiend named Lala, and a small arsenal of guns. He was ready to ride. He had no intention of making the same mistakes his Uncle Briscoe had. One second, y'all. I'm dry. And good old Baltimore half and half. Be more half and half. And the dog dancing in the background. Okay, here we go. The move was well thought out, as Black was extremely cautious. They drove to the city in 2 separate rental cars. Black, Lisa, and the money in one car. Ty, Stacy, Lala, and the guns in the other. Everybody was formally dressed in suits to avoid being stopped and searched by an overzealous state trooper, especially on the New Jersey Turnpike. But instead of driving directly to New York, they detoured into Fort Lee, New Jersey, where Stacy and Lisa rented 2 different hotel rooms. One room would be for Black, Ty, the money, and the guns. The other room was for everybody else. Black, Ty, and Lala quickly changed clothes, replacing their suits with street gear in order to blend into the environment they'd be in. Then Black grabbed $10K in cash, 2 handguns, and Lala, and went cruising the streets of Harlem. Across the George Washington Bridge, they drove into Washington Heights. After a thorough search for heroin, They soon discovered that this area was populated and controlled by the Dominicans, who strictly sold cocaine. They moved on down Broadway, crossing 125th, till they got to the east side. Then they traveled a few more blocks till they entered Spanish Harlem. There they checked out all the known dope spots that they heard of or could find, going spot to spot, block to block, project to project. They left no stone unturned. The first few days of doing this proved to be futile. As hard as they looked, they didn't come across any good quality dope. By the time Black tried to step on it, the cut would have eaten up all the dope and turned less of a profit. Black was patient, though. He hadn't come all this way to go back home empty-handed. He was willing to search every dope spot and shooting gallery in New York City for the rawest heroin, something that would catch a few bodies. He questioned every nodding junkie that he saw. He demanded to know where they got their dope from. On the 5th day of his mission, Black's persistence paid off. A dope fiend directed him to some dope that was killing people up in the Bronx called Murder One. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That right there. He went and copped a bundle. Then they drove back to the hotel to let Lala test it. Inside the room, Black and Ty watched closely as Lala cleaned the works and cooked up some dope. She looked like a mad scientist about to make a startling discovery. When she was finished, she desperately searched her arm for a vein. Damn, I can't find a good place to hit. Can one of y'all hit me in the neck? She asked, looking up at their faces, which were twisted like, why? It's either there or my pussy, she said, letting them know shit got worse. I never thought about that area. I know about between fingers, toes, the neck, and the elbow. I never ever in my life, and I read this book before. I don't remember this. I'm sorry for that. I don't remember this line. But god dang, the pussy, for real? People shoot up there? For real? I guess if you could do dope dick and dip your dope in cocaine and stay hard or whatever it is they do, I guess you can put it down there. But I wonder if it keep you wet. These are just conjectures here, and I digress in the book because that line just took me out. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all my dogs that's coming in the room. But that line took me out. I never ever, that's the one area of the body I didn't think about. Really. If you want to hide it, that's a good spot. You want to hide them track marks. And I'm about to kill my husband and the dog, so I might have to mute y'all and then hurry up and find me a flight out of here. Okay? Because they determined to become a part of this show. Okay? All right. Let's go back to that line. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. All right. Here we go. It's either there or my pussy, she said, letting them know shit got worse. Give me that height, bitch. I'll put this motherfucker up your ass if I got to, said Black, not playing. Lala knew that crazy motherfucker was serious. I'm just bullshitting. My neck is a good spot, but don't stab me, Black. You got to be gentle. Just prick the skin, okay? She said, wishing Ty was doing it instead of Black's crazy ass. She drew up 50cc, then handed Black the dope-filled syringe. Black pulled her shirt collar away from her neck and looked for a suitable portion of skin amongst her track marks. Finding what he was looking for, he carefully injected the hypodermic needle into her jugular vein. The dope entered her bloodstream and raced to her heart. Her eyes quickly rolled up in the back of her head, and her chin dropped to her chest. The drug had taken effect. She blacked out, falling face first to the floor. Damn, this some good shit, said Black, gently nudging Lala with his right foot, looking at the hypodermic needle still in his hand. Damn, said Ty, sounding like Chris Tucker, getting closer for a look at her. You think she all right? He asked, checking her wrist for a pulse. Murder One was that shit. It was too strong for even an experienced junkie like Lala. She couldn't handle it. Murder One was the truth. Black knew right then and there he had some powerful stuff. Feverishly. He and Ty worked on Lala, trying to bring her to. They dumped a bucket of ice down her pants and underwear, and Black slapped her repeatedly. Give her mouth to mouth, demanded Black, looking at Ty. Hell no! You give her mouth to mouth, said Ty, right back, having no idea where Lala's lips had been. Damn, Murder One done murdered Lala, said Black, then adding, they damn sure named it right. I know that much, he said, continuing to smack Lala around until she came to. The three of them went back to the Bronx to find the runner who sold them the bundle. The runner wasn't hard to find. He was on the same corner where they left him earlier. Yo, my man, can I holler at you for a minute? He asked. The guy looked at Black and remembered him from earlier. He clutched his side, checking on Nina, and proceeded toward Black. Yo, son, you want some more of that thing? He asked. Yeah, that shit almost lived up to its name. Shorty, check this out. I'm trying to cop some of that on a weight tip. I want the exact same shit, said Black. What you working with? A couple of grams or a quarter? The runner asked as if it could be handled. More than that. But I ain't really trying to put my business out there like that, yo. I'd rather discuss it with your boss. I'll break you off something for plugging me in, yo. Black went into his pocket and pulled out a knot of money. He peeled off $500 bills and handed it to him. The runner could hardly believe his luck. Good looking, son. Yo, you about your business. Word up. Wait right here. I'm going to go get my man, he said as he ran around the corner. You go do that so I can get the fuck out of this motherfucker and go back home, thought Black to himself. He couldn't stand no New York City. The people, the traffic, the streets, the tall-ass buildings, all that shit got on his nerves. You couldn't tell them niggas up there shit neither. They walked around like they owned the world. Black was peeping it all. They just didn't know Black would kill them without a moment's hesitation. Thinking about his Uncle Briscoe, he felt his gun by his waist. He wasn't worried about getting robbed. He was strapped. Ty was strapped. And the arsenal was back at the hotel. If anybody wanted to go to war. They were taking a risk standing there on this Bronx street, out in the open though, and Black knew that. What he didn't know was if the runner was actually going to go get his boss or some stick-up kids. In the game, Black had gambled with his life on several occasions. This was just another one of them. The runner returned minutes later, strolling with an old-timer. Black wasn't surprised. He knew that some of the richest and largest cats in the game were old-timers. "What up, y'all?" said Black, extending his hand first to shake the older man's. "What's up, young blood? I'm Sonny. My man was telling me you trying to get some weight," he said, trying to feel out Black. "I am. If it's the same thing y'all was selling in them bundles." "It is. How much you copping? A quarter or a half ounce?" Black suddenly became aware that this was conducting his business in front of two workers, Ty and the runner. "Can I speak to you for a minute in private, yo? My business ain't everybody's business," he said. Slowly, they walked down the block talking business. Black convinced Sonny he was about money, simply by the way he conversed about drugs and the life. Sonny could tell he was from out of town by his accent and by his frequent use of the word yo at the end of his sentences, which was getting on his nerves. They quickly struck a deal. Sonny agreed to sell him an ounce of dope for $9.5K. He also gave him a verbal money-back guarantee. He could return it if his customers weren't satisfied. Sonny was always eager to establish ties outside of the city. He knew from prior experience that out-of-towners spent that paper. Knowing this, he always played fair with them. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all those entering the room. Oop, my mic fell over. 1 second. Sorry, y'all. Black, on the other hand, didn't trust Sonny. He was leery of all New Yorkers after his uncle. And just because Sonny seemed nice didn't mean diddly. Black merely suppressed his ill feelings in order to get what he wanted: raw dope. He wasn't about to let his personal feelings get in the way of him making some money. But if Sonny ever tried to do anything underhanded, like shortchange him on some weight, then, and only then, would he be killed. As long as he was supplying Black with the raw shit, he could live. As a precautionary measure, Black only bought 2 ounces at a time. Back and forth, he and Ty crossed the GWB to cop, which is the George Washington Bridge, to cop, till they purchased all the dope they came for. After copping for weeks a couple ounces here and a couple ounces there, Black's mission was complete. He sent Ty and Stacy back home on the Amtrak train with the product and the guns, while he, Lisa, and Lala rode back home clean. Back in Bmore, the drama had died down, mainly because Black calmed down. Now that he had a legitimate connection, he didn't have to rob and terrorize the streets. Instead, he laid low and let Ty run the show. From the outside looking in, it appeared that Ty was happy. After all, he had it all: a small fleet of luxury cars, a ton of jewelry, and flocks of pretty women. But it wasn't enough. He had aspirations of being his own boss and pumping his own dope. It seemed like Black wanted to keep him under his wing forever. Being as Black wasn't giving up any more profits or sharing equally as Ty wished he would, Ty seriously began saving his money. He had already stashed away a decent amount. Soon, he'd go solo, already preparing for his own future. He knew who Black's Connect was and where Black copped from. What did he need him for? His answer? Nothing. But how could he tell Black?
Come on. Try to make you understand. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and these shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and their shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Murphy Homes, the land of the chrome and the raw bone. Yellow tape, vicinity labeled a court zone. Ammunition, ranging from text to crossbows. Run up in grids, quick to put the pistol across stones. We rapping and it ain't no secret. Taurus between the pelvis and the grease. We got pieces that will rip all pieces. Double clips take together will endanger the species. My crime now mixed with raw, so my paper increases. I make $1 million on a busy corner. Master killers with a vicious formula. Got one bounce to California. Y'all niggas know how Baltimore is. Station, mad work to the mortician and the florist. While I'm out of town, let's get extorted. Then escorted to the city limits. Mine's that 6-digit fortune. These locals are compelled by them evil forces. While haters get 18 holes like they up in golf courses. Be more careful, better watch yourself. Cats get caught slipping and these shirts is wet. Quiet kept you scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and these shirts is wet. Quiet kept you scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. From my locks and my Timbs and my all black, saw hoodlum, war wounds and battle incisions, granted me wisdom. Penny gold, held me as a child in his bosom. Feeding me the milk of the world. I was given the game and taught the rules. My urban wizards got 2 words for this flow. It's superb and vicious. Matter of fact, got you more. It's intensive, malicious. Yeah, they don't give a fuck up. I like to send a shout out to all my bitches, from the knock 'em down to the pussy pound. Keep it tight, my bitches, cause every day in the underworld we facing dilemmas. Do we run or bust that gun? We'll face it together, my niggas. Sell pot running forward with big plans and big decisions. They don't stop in the hustle, so keep it together, my niggas. It's one love. All it takes is one snitch to run it all. Keep the circle close knit, cause a brick house won't fall. Keep your basement door locked, don't let them rats infiltrate. Cause if you see one, then you got 20 that poison the food on your plate. Listen, build your man, cause I got a plan to make it right. Please don't come through tripping, cause you won't make it through the night. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and they shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and their shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and their shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's beef in the east, protect your chest in the west. Be more careful, better watch your step. Cats get caught slipping and their shirts is wet. Quiet is kept, we scheming where that work is kept. It's Baltimore, we know for money, murder, and sex. Hit me.
Chapter 16. At the low-budget Marylander Hotel on Pulaski Highway, Ty and Mimi were picking up where they left off at the club. All the flirtatious conversations and lustful stares had led them to kissing, touching, moaning, and groaning. The sex was erotically sensual and merely a combination of lust and all the liquor they consumed at the club. Mimi purred as Ty stroked ferociously. "Who's your daddy, bitch?" he asked, driving his manhood deeper and deeper inside her. "You are," she whispered in his ear, biting down on her bottom lip. "Don't stop. Keep it right there," she said, ready to come all over him. Ty was in a sexual trance, humping away, using long, powerful strokes to pound her vagina. "Harder! Harder! Ty!" she said, digging her nails into his back. It felt so good. He couldn't hold back, increasing his pace. He wanted to come with her. "Come for daddy, baby," he said, exploding like a broken dam inside of her. Mimi continued to claw his back till she drew blood. This was a wild experience for Ty. He was taken to extreme pleasure and pain simultaneously, and he loved it. Drained and weak, he collapsed on top of her. His mouth found hers, and their tongues intertwined in a wet, passionate kiss. "Ty, I got to pee," she said, pushing him off her, still huffing and puffing. He rolled up and watched her shapely ass cheeks sway from side to side as she hurried to the bathroom. "Damn, she looks good. Too bad she's a hoe," Ty thought to himself. In his book, any female who gave it up that fast was a whore, a slut, a freak, or whatever you wanted to call it. He just met her tonight, and within a few hours, he was running up in her. As a matter of fact, on the way over to the hotel, he had her performing oral sex with him as he drove. "I usually don't do this, but I really like you. You're special," she said, kicking game. Ty knew better. She's done it before, and she'll do it again. What makes me so special? What separates me from the rest of these niggas she did that shit to on the first night? She couldn't fool him because, unlike Black, he played the clubs every weekend. He knew all about the pussy pound. What Mimi didn't know was that he'd done business before with her girlfriend Fila. And since birds of a feather flock together, he knew Netta was down too. Ty made a mental note to warn Black about both of these broads. They were nothing but high-priced gold diggers in his book. Ty laid on sex-stained sheets listening to Mimi use the bathroom. His mind was a million miles away. He knew that he'd blown a golden opportunity to tell Black he wanted out while they were driving to the party. Then the drinks, the party atmosphere, and later the woman made him lose focus. He just couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't have the heart to, not tonight. It was Black's birthday, and Ty didn't want Black to find out that he had copped from his connect behind his back. Let him enjoy his night out. It is his birthday. I'll tell him later. That's how Ty had rationalized with himself earlier. But he was kidding himself if he thought Black would take the news of his betrayal lying down. Black wasn't much on talk, but he was big on action, violence, gunplay, and murder. That was Black. Ty, you getting in the shower with me, yo? Mimi yelled from the bathroom. I'm coming, yo, he said, snapping out of it. He was ready for round two, some wet and wild fun. He got up and walked towards the sound of the running water, butt naked except for the tons of platinum jewelry that still adorned his neck, wrists, and fingers. Entering the shower, he wondered whether his Rolex was waterproof. He'd never worn it in the shower before. It would want to be, he thought, thinking of how much it cost. Across town, Netta was playing her part real well. Over breakfast at AHA, she and Black were involved in a meaningful conversation. Huddled close together in a small booth, completely ignoring the other patrons, they were doing the exact opposite of Mimi and Ty at this very moment. Netta wasn't about to make the same mistake as Mimi had, giving it up too soon. By far, Black was the biggest fish she'd ever managed to catch, bar none. Yes, he was bigger than Major, and Major was a major figure before the motorcycle accident. Netta had to be careful. She wanted to protect the good girl image of herself. She wanted to play him for everything she could. So, after Major died, my mother passed away a few months later. I was so depressed for a while. I haven't had a man since, said Netta, recalling some of the major events in her life while deleting the rest. That's fucked up, yo, said Black, showing his sympathetic side. I'm sorry to hear about that. My mother is my heart. I don't know what I'd do if anything ever happened to her, yo. I know what you mean. I don't wish death on nobody. But death is a part of life. We're all born to die. Besides, Black, I've been catching hell all my life. I grew up in the projects. I never knew my father, and my mother was a dope fiend. So, death can't be much worse or painful than what I already been through. Black sat back and pondered what she said. Her openness and honesty blew him away. He couldn't identify with her struggle. Excuse me, let me reread that. I read that wrong. He could identify with her struggle. They clicked like tap dancing shoes. Poverty was their common bond. Money was their common goal. Can you tell me something, y'all? Why you ain't got no man? As good as you look, you should have a man, yo, said Black. He was always suspicious of beautiful women who were single. In his mind, something had to be wrong with them. They were either dykes, a pain in the ass, or fatal attraction types. He didn't want to be bothered with neither. Like I told you, I've been stressing. I ain't been trying to holler at nobody. Maybe I haven't met Mr. Right yet. You might be him for all I know, with your chocolate sexy self, she said, as sweet could get. Black smirked. He remembered a time when he was ashamed to be dark-skinned. When he was growing up, he was called all kinds of mean names, like Tar Baby and Black Bastard. He was called out of his name so much it stuck in his subconscious. This is why he stopped going by his given name, Deshaun, and adopted his moniker, Black. Since we playing 50 questions, let me ask you one. Are you that somebody for me? She asked. They both smiled. That night was the beginning of a long courtship. Soon, Black and Netta became inseparable. They spent quality time together every day, dining out, shopping, and going to the movies. They enjoyed each other's company, and Black became infatuated with her. He treated Netta like a queen. He had every intention of making her his wife. He showered her with exquisite gifts, fur coats, jewelry, and everything his money could buy. Black had zero experience in the love department, and this was why he expressed his love in the form of material possessions. He didn't know that he couldn't buy love. For the first time in his life, Black had fallen in love with someone or something other than the game. Sexually, he desired Netta more than any female he'd ever known. Thoughts of Netta ran rampant through his mind. How would it be? How would it feel? Was it wet enough? Was it hot enough? Of course it was, thought Black, as he watched her one day walking around her house in nothing but her panties and a bra. She would prance around him, teasing him with her luscious body. Black just knew it was about to go down. This got to be it. This got to be it. I'm finally gonna hit, he thought to himself. But instead, she put on her pajamas and asked him to hold her while they cuddled on the couch and watched a movie. Amazingly, Black respected her wishes without trying to force himself on her. For months, Netta kept up the same routine while engaging in a whirlwind romance that included trips to Aruba and the Bahamas. Black was so tired of taking pictures. Don't we have enough memories? We have so many memories captured by Kodak. Is it Kodiak or Kodak? Kodak. It was Kodak. Kodak. See, that's how old I am. And my memory is fucked. I don't remember Kodak. Yeah, Kodak. Y'all remember them cameras? I remember Polaroids. What knows I'm old? All right, let me go back. I digress because I'm over my time. Okay. But these long chapters. Don't we have enough memories? We have so many captured by Kodak. We never need to take another photo again in life. Finally, after returning from Mexico, Netta broke down and gave him some. He had truly earned it over the past 3 months. In Netta's mind, having sex with her was a privilege, and she treated it like such. For Black, the sex was instant gratification. Netta was everything he ever dreamed of and more. Their lovemaking was intense and passionate, only magnifying the feelings he already had for her. It was too bad for Black, though, as Netta was only pretending and only in it for the money. Unlike Netta and Black, Mimi and Ty's relationship was non-existent. They were strictly sex partners, nothing more. Ty fucked Mimi a few times and gave her a couple hundred and dumped her. Despite Mimi's constant pursuit of Ty, He didn't take her personal. She was trying to get in good with him by doing anything and everything for him sexually. But it wasn't working. Her beeps and her calls went unanswered. Even though it wasn't working with Ty, Mimi and Netta still kicked it. From time to time, Mimi would drop by Netta's house and visit. She would privately put her down with the happening of the pussy pound and keep her informed of the 411. Who was fucking who, and who came up on what, and what nigga had copped that, and for who. However, most of the time, when she stopped by, Black was home and Netta's attention couldn't be focused on her. Netta would be too busy catering to Black and the both of them would be acting all lovey-dovey. This display of affection made Mimi want to vomit. She was jealous of her girlfriend's relationship. Never mind that Netta might be happy. Mimi was stuck on her petty childish claim. I saw him first, and if Netta hadn't pushed me out the way, he'd be my man. Mimi's love and friendship for Netta was strictly strictly conditional. It was always if you're constantly with me or if you're giving me your undivided attention. She definitely didn't like the fact that Netta had a man in her life, nor did she like the fact that they couldn't spend as much time together as they used to. She was jealous, and her jealousy caused her to play childish games behind Netta's back. Whenever Netta wasn't around, Mimi would openly hit on Black. Either she was spreading her legs far apart invitingly or licking her lips at him seductively. Mimi let him know that she wanted him and he could get it. But Black wanted no part of another scandalous love triangle. He learned his lesson fucking with Nard and Michelle. He knew how fast a female could bring a man down. Courtesy of that ordeal, he passed on Mimi's advances. And because of the very fact that he had learned his lesson, Mimi's secret was safe with him. He didn't tell Netta about her girlfriend. Instead, he filed Mimi's actions away in his memory bank for a rainy day. Sinking deeper into her good girl role, Netta no longer had time for the pussy pound. Her world revolved around Black on a full-time basis. Seeking to impress him, she invited Black and his family over to her house one Sunday for dinner. She cooked a traditional soul food meal, including collard greens, sweet potatoes, rice and black-eyed peas, fried chicken, and cornbread. The food was hot and delicious. Everyone enjoyed her cooking and her hospitality, except Black's little brother, Stink. Oh, Netta, you sure can burn, child. I got to get you to cook dinner at my house one day, baby, said Black's mother as she finished off her second helping. Thank you, Miss Harris, Netta said. I'll come over any time you want me to. Would you like some more? She asked, being especially kind. Oh, no, I couldn't eat another bite, said Cynthia. Netta spooned some more on Black's plate and looked at Stink, not bothering to ask. Let me give you a hand cleaning up, offered Cynthia. I'm okay. I can handle it by myself, Miss Harris. You relax, Netta insisted. It's the least I can do after you cook this big meal. As Netta busied herself clearing the table, her and Black eyes met and he winked his approval. She smiled and took the remaining dishes to the kitchen, leaving Stink and Black alone. I don't like that bitch, yo. She's a snake. I'm telling you, yo, I can feel it, said Stink as Black sat there expressionless. Why does he have to go there? Black asked himself, shaking his head in disbelief. Stink, who was the only person in the world who could get away with talking to him like that. And Stink knew it. He was still a juvenile, but he had a foul mouth for him like a drunken sailor. From the door, Stink headed out for Netta. He just didn't like her. It seemed like she had everybody else under her spell, but not him. He saw right through her act. She wasn't a good girl. She was scandalous, fraudulent natured, ho, very outspoken. Stink let his ill feelings for Netta be known whether Black wanted to hear it or not. Netta knew she had her work cut out for herself when dealing with Stink. She exercised a lot of patience when talking to him. She withstood all his disrespectful comments, and by choosing her words lightly and keeping away from him as much as possible, she continued to hold Black. Having already won over her greatest opposition, Black's mother, Netta felt she could get around Stink. It would just take some time. The streets, the clubs, and chasing hustlers began to consume all of Mimi's time. Now, she rarely had time for her own son because she was hardly ever home. With Netta locked down in her relationship with Black, Mimi had nobody to kick it with. Feeling abandoned, she thought she had lost Netta forever. Mimi never learned to live with a loss. She simply substituted one person for another because she couldn't stand being alone. Depressed, since no member of the Pussy Pound measured up to Netta, she found a new friend. This friend always made her happy and would never leave her side. Her new friend was dope. She started off getting high on the sneak tip, merely experimenting with a small stash she had taken from a hustler she spent the night with. Mimi meant to steal the dope and hand it over to some young hustlers around her way to sell for a couple of dollars. A funny thing happened along the way, though. She tried it, and she liked it. And the package never made it to them. This was the beginning of a cursed union.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. First off, can't play me, I ain't no Xbox. I'm pulling up, busting windows. I'm at your mama's spot, kicking cups, smacking dice. I'll make this block hot, no trapping here, slacking where? Wait, get your home right. I'm sick and tired of fucking crying and sleepless nights. Bitches approaching me, telling me they don't know of me. Oh, you think you slick, you think you got one up? You better ask my last nigga, cut his ass right up. Yeah, can't cry over spilled milk if I knew it was rotten. And all these memories we had, they was quickly forgotten. Oh, this nigga think he's smooth, he tryna cast it over me. Keep on lying through his teeth, leave his ass like can we be? No pink turtlenecks, but I'm feeling bad. You left, I can't let him go, but watch me loosen up. Like grip, I'm hopping in my bank. I'm talking about that go wall. Shit, I need a couple bags. Ain't talking about no go yard, bitch. You geeking for? I'm really about to drag and gon' cry no more. I had to tell that nigga stop playing with me before they find this picture on murder me. Be more careful with me. I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better watch the way you handling me. I told his ass be careful with me. You better be more careful with me. huh? I ain't like these other bitches that you used to better. I should let you handling me.
Well, my darlings, this has been another installment. This has been chapters 15 through 16. We are about 67 to 70% through the book. I hope you are all enjoying it, and I hope to see you in the next installment. Like the pinned comment says, if you missed any of the previous chapters, or you would like to re-listen to this one, it'll all be on replay. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. Okay? When you know the next chapters are coming up. Because it's getting better and better and better, darlings. The book, I'm telling you, it's a great one. Shannon Holmes, thank you for this work of art on paper. And I thank you all for listening to me read it. I love you. I'll see you soon, darling.